Hi everyone, Puma here. I thought for today's video, I would teach you guys how to make the couples cake from Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, as well as Super Paper Mario. So before we actually get started on making the cake itself, I'd just like to explain my thought process behind what the concept is. So my interpretation of this dessert is a very fluffy vanilla cake with a panna cotta, as well as some strawberries dipped in chocolate. To make the cake itself, what you're gonna need is flour, brown sugar, powdered sugar, milk, an egg white, some vanilla extract, cider vinegar, a little bit of salt, and baking soda. The exact proportions I will list them down below in the description, as well as the recipe for all the other components for this dessert. So, as you can already tell, I've already sifted out my flour, so I already have that done. I got the milk already right here. I've already put a little bit of vanilla extract into my egg white. And I'm also going to add a little bit of baking soda to my egg white as well. In this case, I'm doing half a teaspoon. But like I said, the exact proportions will be listed down below, so that way you guys don't even have to worry about that. So to start, all you have to do is whisk up your egg white until it's nice and fluffy. So once your egg whites have fluffed up substantially, you should add in about half the sugar first. And just keep whisking it again until it fluffs up again. Once you whip it until it's super stiff, like when you pull away the whisk, it should puff up. Then you add in the rest of the sugar and then the vinegar. When you add vinegar and baking soda into whipped egg whites, it creates this reaction that causes it to fluff up. And it'll be very stiff and very, very airy, and all of that fluffy air will make for a very light and delicious cake. So our meringue's somewhat stiff, and also if you can hold it upside down like this and it won't move at all, then that means that it's stiff enough. So I'm just gonna add in the rest of the sugar, lift it back up again. Now's the time where if you have an electronic mixer, use it. Use it. Now it's time for me to add in the vinegar. Now you might be wondering a couple of things at this point. Mostly, why is the meringue brown? That's because of the vanilla extract. I whipped it in to begin with. And also you might be wondering where's the butter or the oil for the cake itself. The thing is, I'm not using butter or oil. The butter and oil, what they do to a cake batter is they add moisture to it. But since I have the dairy fat from my milk as well as the moisture from the brown sugar, I'm just omitting oil entirely. Besides, if you're on a date, you don't want to get fat, right? You want a cake that's fairly guilt-free. Added in the flour, added in the milk, added in the sugar, all the brown sugar, whisked it all together, and now we have a cake batter. Now to make the cake itself, line a bowl and fill it about 3/4 the way full with the cake batter. Ready to go in the oven. To make the panna cotta, you need gelatin, sugar, vanilla, salt, and cream. So with the gelatin, I'm just adding a little bit of cold water to help it firm up a little bit. And then with the cream, I'm just going to heat it with the sugar and the vanilla until it starts to go and let out a little bit of steam. Once that happens, I'll add the gelatin in, stir it around, and put it in the fridge to set up. So what we're going to do in the meantime, while we're waiting for the panna cotta to heat up, we'll just leave it up at a low heat, is we're going to go and make a very light syrup so that way we can glaze our strawberries in them before we dip them in chocolate. Also right here I have a strawberry and rhubarb jam I made the day before. I'll leave the recipe down below in the description because I forgot to go and record me making it. But we're going to go and slice the cake in half before we frost it and layer it with some of this. So for the syrup, it's going to be fairly simple. I have a little bit of brown sugar, and I'm just going to go pour a tiny bit of the hot water into it. And let that sugar dissolve. We'll just let this get down to room temperature, and then we'll just roll the strawberries in it, just so that way they don't dry out and get weird tasting. Oh yeah, and for the strawberries themselves, I have a melon baller right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoop them out. What you can do with the leftover strawberry remnants, so to speak, is you can go and take them and make them into a jam. You can go and blend them up. You can put them into buttercreams. There's a lot of things you can do with the spare strawberries just so that way you don't have to throw them away. So I'm just going to take these, roll them around in my syrup. Make sure to get them nice and glazed. That way they don't go bad. For the cake itself, you need anywhere from 4 to 5 of these little balled strawberries. But these are just the garnish. If you want, you can make the balled strawberries ahead of time, or you can let them glaze ahead of time, and then you can take these and make this into the jam itself. Now back to panna cotta land. We have our gelatin, And we will go and add this gelatin mixture straight into the cream. So I'll just let this cream heat up again with the gelatin in it. Okay, into the freezer it goes. Now for the final component before assembly, we have the chocolate dipped strawberries, or chocolate dipped strawberry balls. You don't need that much chocolate at all. I only have about 3 tablespoons of chocolate here. I'm just gonna melt it down on a double boiler, and then I'm just gonna go and dip a couple of these strawberries halfway into it and let them sit on some parchment paper so that way the chocolate can harden up a little bit. Let this rest on the parchment sheet and do that for the rest of them. And along it, using butter knife just to go and make sure that it doesn't stick on the sides. Flop out. I'm just gonna go and saw that off right away. You can see the cake itself, very spongy, fairly moist. Saw the cake in half. Just spread that jam onto it. As you can see, the panna cotta, it's set up nicely. It's very bouncy, very springy. So we'll just transfer this to a piping bag, or if you don't have a piping bag, you could always use a Ziploc bag, or if you want, you can just take a butter knife and just start like using it to frost the cake once it's cooled down enough. Before we actually frost the cake, I'm gonna go and move it to the plate I'm gonna serve it on. But I'm actually going to go and line the edges of the plate with a little bit of parchment paper, so that way if there's a mess with the frosting, it won't go everywhere. So with the panna cotta, we'll just start mixing it up, mixing it together. Make sure to get it very creamy and spreadable. If your panna cotta is a little bit loose, what you can do is you can mix in a little bit of cream cheese or a little bit of mascarpone cheese into it, and that would instantly thicken it up. Something I've learned the hard way, or rather the easy way, whenever your custards or puddings are too thin, if you put cream cheese into it, it gives it a much more desirable texture for like frostings and fillings. Now we shall begin frosting. It's gonna go frosting, and it's gonna be a very sloppy frost job. It's okay to let it like droop down to the sides. I'll use a spatula later to go and smooth it all out. I just want to make sure I can cover the edges and everything. I have to finish our frosted cake, of course. Our little strawberries. Voila! So, voila! This is my couple's cake. Make sure to go and eat it with someone you love very much, or if you're like me, go eat it in a dark room while sobbing and listening to sad music. Grandpa alone. Just kidding, just kidding. Somewhat, not really, but still, whatever. You don't have to go and be in love to eat this cake. And yeah, overall, just tell me how it went if you guys try it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go to my channel. Now time to go and listen to some Evanescence while eating this cake.